Hello, Jimmy. How are you?
I'm good, Jason, thanks. How are you?
Very, very good. So, back on campus for Freshers Week this week, online. So, for anybody that's not seen myself and Jimmy in this situation before, speaking very like we're very familiar here. So, for everybody else, Jimmy is joining me today from the Terrance Higgins Trust, Jimmy Hunter, and I'm going to let him explain a little bit of what he does in a moment. But just to say why we're here, I'm part of the learner engagement team at the college, and this week we're hosting our virtual Freshers Fair. So there's a variety of different things going on online, and part of these are little 15-minute interviews with some of our internal and external partners, give them the opportunity to tell you a little bit about what they do, and we ask them some fun questions along the way to test their personalities as well. So we'll look forward to that one, Jimmy. So without further ado, he's on screen, so I'll let Jimmy tell us a little bit about himself and what he does, who he works for.
Thanks for that, Jason. Well, I'm Jimmy Hunter and I work for Terrance Higgins Trust. So here in Tayside, there's a partnership between Terrance Higgins Trust Scotland and NHS Tayside to form Men Only Tayside, and that's the sexual health service for men throughout the region. But for those who don't know anything about THT, um, Terry Higgins was one of the first men in the UK to die of AIDS back in 1982, and a few of his friends got together to provide a support group, which very quickly became a charity, and we've grown from there. And we provide support and clinical services throughout the UK. Here in Tayside, our focus is men who have sex with men, and the services that we provide in Tayside are the same as what's on offer to you at the college, Jason.
Mhm.
So normally there's health promotion at freshers, and
Yeah,
really this time of year is not the same at the moment. Last year was the same. I'm used to coming to all of your campuses and the place is absolutely packed, and
yeah,
there's lots of conversations going on, and I do miss that, and I expect you all do too.
yeah.
But it's a good opportunity for us to bring some leaflets, some information to let the students know about who we are, where we are. So there's just general health promotion. What I normally do in normal times is come to all of the campuses to do a selection of community testing days. So I provide HIV and STI testing for students. And I would normally be on campus around November, December time to do HIV and sexual health lectures for the access to nursing students as well.
Mhm.
So, in addition to that, um, I provide support and advice for anybody who has issues with anything related to sexual health, but also if someone has problems or issues with their sexual orientation or their gender or anything like that, we can help with. And if anybody thinks that they have been a victim of sexual assault or rape, they can also come to me and I can provide some support and advice and important signposting for people who are in that situation. But also, THT is a third party reporting organisation, Jason. So
Mhm.
that means I can report hate crimes anonymously on someone's behalf.
Okay, wow. There's quite a range of services there actually on offer.
Keeps us busy.
Yeah, exactly. So because it started, from like men's health, if you like, there at the very beginning, it went to variety. Can you just give me just his titles again there? So you're sort of what are like the top five services then of Terrance Higgins Trust, if you were to just wrap them up like that?
Um, And mainly, what we do is amplify the voices of people who are living with HIV, because there's a
Mhm.
huge amount of stigma
Yeah,
still associated with HIV that doesn't exist for other bloodborne viruses like hepatitis B or hepatitis C.
yeah,
Um, so we provide support through our peer support network and Positive Voices program
yeah.
for people living with HIV, and that is support groups, get-togethers. We can provide legal advice and counselling. So, for example, when someone tests positive for HIV, They come to us and we wrap our support services around them. So we've got counselling services. There's THT Direct, which is a phone line that people can call from early in the morning until late in the evening. So there's a whole range of support services that we can provide people. But also, it's not limited to HIV. So we provide that to people who are living with Hep C as well.
Yeah.
And we spend a lot of time on education around STIs.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I think whilst a lot of focus, quite rightly, has been on HIV, and especially through the past 18 months with the pandemic, sexually transmitted infections has tended to get forgotten about. And in various meetings with the British Association of Sexual Health and HIV, this has been picked up on. And what's being looked at is the nature of STIs that are going around, where they're traveling to. So, for example, there's a specific strain of chlamydia that was noticed amongst men who have sex with men in London, and that has now started to progress its way into Scotland. And it's important that we remember that, you know, if you're having sex with someone, if you're having sex with 2 or 3 different people, say in a 3-month period, get tested regularly. And what we want to do is we want to take any kind of stigma away from that. It's like building that into your routine, like you go to the dentist every month,
Yeah.
every 6 months. Come and see us and get a checkup every 6 months.
Or like what you're being encouraged to do now with, lateral flow testing.
Exactly, same
At
thing.
work, 'cause I get it in a way. People um, they might be fed up with getting tested all the time. And it's like another test, another test. But it's really, really important, as you're saying, that people do get tested. But I can kind of understand why it's fallen by the wayside a bit as well, because over the last 18 months there has been such a big focus on COVID testing and things. And is that maybe why people have let it slip a little bit, or is it just because it's another thing to do? It's
Perhaps. I agree with you. I think there's a general fatigue when it comes to things like that at the moment. But
yeah,
it's really important to maintain your sexual health checks,
of course,
because if you have an STI, or more importantly HIV, and it's undiagnosed, you can pass it on to sexual partners,
yeah,
but also it does a lot of damage to your body. All STIs can be treated and cured, and there's treatment for HIV, but the sooner it's all diagnosed and treated, the better. And
that's
it's
it.
just good
Anyways,
for your own health and well-being and your mental well-being as well, to know that, okay, I've just had a checkup, I don't have any infections, I'm good to go.
yeah. And for those that are a little bit maybe apprehensive, Jimmy, about getting tested, what is involved? What when someone comes to get tested, what is that process like for a person?
Well, in our next video, Jason,
Mhm.
I'm going to get you to demonstrate that.
Oh, are you? Right. I didn't. For everybody out there, I didn't know about this. So this is me on the spot.
Hot off the press. All it is for HIV and syphilis, it's just a
Uh-huh.
finger prick test. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's like a pregnancy test, or something like that. It's just a finger prick test.
Okay.
And what that does is it looks for antibodies in the bloodstream
Uh-huh.
for HIV and syphilis. So if that comes back reactive, it tells us that there are antibodies there, but it doesn't actually tell us if there's a live virus there. So if that happens, we fast track someone into sexual health services up at
Yeah.
Ninewells with NHS Tayside and
Mhm.
get a full screen done.
Okay. Yeah.
With STIs for chlamydia and gonorrhea, for men, it's a pee in the pot
Yep.
and sent off to the lab, and a big cotton bud down the back of the throat.
Oh, well, we're used to that now, so that's
Yeah,
all.
we're very used to that now, so there should be no surprises or shocks there.
Yeah.
And we send that off to the lab, and normally within about 5 to 7 days, we get the results back. And if any of those tests are positive, again, we've got a referral pathway with NHS Tayside, and we fast track someone right in for a full screen and treatment.
Brilliant.
It's easy.
It does actually sound dead easy, but the thing is, a lot of people, like in their head, if they don't know that process, it can seem a little bit daunting and a little bit scary. And in the past, like someone like shoving a cotton swab down your throat might have been a bit scary, but now it's very normalised. So
Yeah.
if you catch these things early, like you're saying, you can save yourself such big issues going forward that it's definitely worthwhile. So yeah, important question then is, how do students contact you? What's the best way to access this service? Have you got
Well,
like an address we contact or number?
the most direct way is to give me a call. So my mobile number is 07880 172 047. So people can phone me or text me. They can drop an email to info.dundee@tht.org.uk. And we can be found on Facebook, THT Scotland and Men Only Tayside, on Twitter, THT Scotland and Men Only Tayside, and on Instagram with our Men Only Tayside account.
Brilliant. And for those that were struggling to write all that down really speedily there, don't worry, because it's going to go in the comments at the bottom. So Jimmy will drop those details in at the end of this chat, and we'll have the details there for you to click on as a link at your own leisure to access. Because unless you're writing very quick there, I'm not sure you quite would have captured that. So make life as easy as possible, because the thing is, we want people to be able to access it in the easiest way possible. So let's make their life as easy as possible.
We do, and the more people do it, as you said, with COVID tests and lateral flow tests and putting the cotton bud down your throat, it's kind of normalised now.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
And that's what we want to do with sexual health testing. So the more we normalise it, the less stigma is associated with doing it.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's a strategy from the World AIDS Organizations, the World Health Organization, along with NHS Tayside and THT, to eliminate HIV transmissions by 2030.
Okay.
Effectively, NHS Tayside, it's done an amazing job eliminating Hep C in Tayside, the first health authority in the world to do that. And we're aiming for 2030 to eliminate HIV transmissions. And the best way to do that is for people to keep getting tested.
Yep.
And that's the best way to know that you're not going to pass anything on.
Perfect. Well, there you go. Okay, so here's some interesting questions coming your way now, Jimmy.
Okay.
Let us know a little bit about a little bit of personality. You might divide the room on these answers, though, so just be aware. Don't judge him by his answers. If they're not the same as yours. Okay, big one to start with, right? Big takeaway choice here, Jimmy. McDonald's or Burger King?
Neither.
Oh, you have to pick one, Jimmy. You can't do this to me.
Oh, well, Burger King. I'm not going to pick McDonald's.
Oh, he's divided the room on that one. Fantastic. I'm not going to say what camp I'm in, because someone might do this interview with me at some point. So I'll leave that one. But yeah, Jimmy's in the Burger King camp. Fantastic. Okay, so quiet night in or disco rave?
Oh, my days of disco raving are long over, Jason, I'm afraid. So a quiet night in with a nice bottle of wine in front of the TV is a good start to the weekend for me.
Nice one. Yeah, again, I'm not going to give my answer away on that. Why do I keep doing that? This is about Jimmy.
I'm making a note of this, and I'm going to ask you these.
And then a nice, easy third one for you. And the last sort of 18 months have been quite pertinent on this. So, online or in person?
I always prefer in person, because when you're with people in a room, you can read the room, and if someone is slightly nervous or whatever, you can kind of read the room, and you can always get things out of people, and try to coerce some cooperation, and you can tell when someone wants to ask a question but they might be a bit too nervous. I have to say that the digital approach is really good, because it has the potential to reach more people who can't travel to be with you in the same room. However, for collaboration and delivering a lecture or something, and for group chats, I do think it's better in the room, face to face.
Yep, great answer. Okay, so I did say 3 questions, but I've got an extra one for you. So let's rewind just a couple of years ago, Jimmy. Let's go back to when you were of a student age, a couple of years ago. And you're away. Let's imagine just now you've just walked through the doors of Dundee College as a new student, and you're about to embark on this journey. what advice, the only one bit of advice, remember, what one bit of advice would you give your younger self?
My younger self, don't get distracted.
Okay.
I, as a student, back in um, the progression from secondary school to college was, just like being let out of the gates. So if I were to give myself advice, I would say don't get distracted and try and focus on what's in front of you. And I think an aside to that, and I see it myself in quite a number of people, it's don't be afraid to ask a question. There's no such thing as a stupid question. If you don't know something or you want to find something out, just ask.
Absolutely. No, that's wonderful advice. And again, I give myself that advice at a young age as well. It's like, we seem to hold ourselves back. And as you know, as you mature and get older, you realize that everybody's got a so-called silly question, which means there is no silly questions. Another one I really enjoyed as well, actually, recently was the acronym for FAIL, FAIL, which is first attempt in learning. It's a really quite nice acronym along those lines as well, is that there's no such thing as getting anything wrong. It's like failure's part of your success. You need to fail to succeed. So it's that thing as well. If you don't ask that question, somebody else is probably wanting to ask it. So ask the question.
It's very true, and I like to think of it as, oh, that didn't work, so let me try again.
Yeah,
Why
yeah,
didn't that
absolutely.
work? Well, let's have a think about it. And I think there's too much emphasis sometimes on, especially success. But what is success? Success is
Hmm.
different to many, many different people. Um,
Absolutely.
so we can't measure that all in the same way. And students do tend to put themselves under a lot of unnecessary pressure
Yes,
when
yeah,
it
very
comes
much
to that.
so.
And I think people need to realize that they don't have to perform to that.
I actually just enjoy the journey as well. Because
Enjoy being a
it's
student.
so much about getting to the destination, getting your NC, your HND, getting your degree, whatever. So much focus on getting it that you get there, and have you actually enjoyed the journey of getting there? Because you won't have this journey again. Well, you might, you know what I mean, but this unique experience of the first of that college, just try and enjoy the journey.
I've got even so many years on, I've got some very vivid and happy memories about my 3 years at college,
Yeah.
and I did make sure that I enjoyed myself, and I think that applies to anything. It's the
Yes.
same when you're working. You need to enjoy what you do. You need to be enjoying yourself when you're doing it. And I always say to people that if you can't make something work, then there's not an issue with that. It's time to move on,
Hmm.
and it's not negative.
It's knowing
Um,
that, isn't it, yourself as an individual of where you want to be able to push yourself to. You know it's an individual thing, isn't it?
yeah, and it's also making sure that you realize when you're beginning to get stressed out, when the pressure's beginning to ramp up, and at that point, when you need to ask for help, you make sure that you do it.
Lovely answer, Jimmy. Thank you so much. No, that was perfect. Yeah, quite a short one with Jimmy today. But like I said, we're going to put the details in below so you've got every way in which to get in contact with the Terrance Higgins Trust. And yeah, just guys, there's going to be a lot more content going up on the page over the rest of the week. So enjoy your virtual freshers. We've got various guests coming on. I'll be doing some of the interviewing along with the rest of my team as well. So again, just thank you to Jimmy for popping on there quickly today. And any information that you need or getting in contact, all the details will be in the comments below. And thanks again.
Thanks, Jason.
Until next time. Take care. Thanks, Jimmy.
Cheers, Jason. Bye.
And